Welcome to r/Entitled Parents, where stuck-up Karens get what's coming to them. So today, husband and I were feeling bored and adventurous and decided to make a pilgrimage to a posh coffee bar in our city. We've been meaning to go for months, but never got around to it. We pull in the lot and it's packed. 10:45 a.m. on a Sunday, so we expected it. As I'm getting out of the car, the momby next to me is struggling to get her 3 kids out of their seats while her husband stood by the front of the car watching, not helping. I hop out and excuse myself and walk into the cafe with husband. Huge line. 2 more people coming after us, then momby and her horde. She immediately starts complaining about the line. She complains loudly to her husband at first, but when he's clearly ignoring her, she decides to just complain to thin air. Why is this line always so long? God, why don't they have more staff? Why does every freaking person have to come at the same dang time? Ugh! She eventually asks the couple in front of her if she can go ahead because her kids are really, really hungry. Insert guilting sad face here. These saints begrudgingly say sure, so now they're directly behind husband and I. She then says to me, "Excuse me, miss, may we have the spot before you in line? My children have been waiting a long time and are very hungry." With the nicest voice I could find, I said, "I'm sorry, ma'am, we've been waiting a while too and are also hungry." The line is moving faster now, at least. I gave her a smile, even though she was glaring at me. I turned back around, only to hear her mutter, "Wow, what a jerk. Can you believe some people? How rude." It took all my effort to not react. My husband is a conflict avoider. I am not. But I respect his wishes enough to not cause a scene in public when I'm with him. Eventually, she starts telling her husband how they're always out of the Mediterranean spinach breakfast sandwich she wants, and she better get it this time or she's gonna be pissed. This is when I concoct a seriously evil plan. I check my watch. It's 10:55. A minute or two later, it's our turn. Husband orders his soy chai, and I slowly order my vanilla nitro cold brew. With cream. No, not cream. Sorry, with soy. And an extra pump of vanilla. Barista rings us up as I check my watch. It's 10:58. I ask to add a Mediterranean spinach breakfast sandwich to the order. She says sure, no problem. Gives us the total. I'm digging in my purse for my wallet. Darn, just can't seem to find it. More digging. Oh, there it is, finally. Hand her the card, wait for receipt, and slowly sign. Pack purse back up, say thank you, and walk away. Husband says, "You're hungry? We ate breakfast an hour ago." I say, "No, I'm not hungry. Just had to do this." He says, "Do what?" I nod towards momby. Husband looks over. She orders her coffee and some juice things for her kids. Doesn't even ask if her husband wants anything. Then it happened. "And 1 Mediterranean spinach breakfast sandwich." The barista said, "Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. We stopped serving breakfast at 11. We have all our lunch options today, though." Momby looks at her watch and yells, "What? Are you kidding me? It's 11:02. "I'm sorry, ma'am. Company policy is to stop breakfast at 11. Is there anything else I can get you?" "Get me your manager. This is ridiculous. You just sold one a moment ago. This is absurd." Manager came over, explained the situation, apologized, but refused to give that jerk a sandwich. Bless her heart. Momby retracts her entire order and stomps out, red-faced and yelling to her car. My husband was trying to hold back his laughter. Our order came up. We grabbed it and went back to the car. I'm unwrapping the sandwich to take a bite exactly as I'm trying to scoot around her, trying to strap her kids in again and say, "Oh, excuse me, ma'am. Just gonna sneak by you real quick." Ah, the Midwest. She's effing glaring at me. The worst death stare I've ever gotten. I get in the car and unwind the windows ever so slightly. It's hot today, right? I slowly unwrap the rest of the sandwich and take a few more bites, passing it to husband and back while she's screaming and struggling with her kids, getting no help from Daddict. As soon as she pulls away, we burst into laughter. Today was a good day. So down in the comments of this post, there's about a 50-50 split between people supporting OP and condemning OP. A lot of people think that the entitled parent deserved it. Other people think that OP shouldn't have held up the entire line and then sicked this entitled woman on this poor barista. What do you think? If you agree with OP, hit the like button. If you think OP went too far and is just as bad as the Karen, hit the dislike button. Our next Reddit post is from LightRay. So back in high school, one of my closest friends got pregnant and gave birth to the sweetest baby boy. She stopped going to school for a while to take care of her kid, but still did online school so she could graduate with her class. One thing we would do is go to one of the local food places near the high school on Fridays. And today, we decided to go to this nice Chinese place that I frequent regularly, and the little old Asian lady knows me by name. This Chinese place has a sticker on the front window that says something like, "Breastfeeding will always be allowed," which is great since that's what my friend is more comfortable doing for her baby. After we ordered our food and hung out in this little waiting area, the baby started to get all fuzzy. My friend takes out the little cover and covers her baby in her chest, and she starts to feed him. We keep talking until this woman and her son, who had to be around 10, comes in. I recognize the kid as one of the kids I looked after when I used to volunteer at a youth center. He comes up to me and starts talking to me, and then asks my friend what she's doing with the baby. Before my friend could answer, the boy's mother cuts in. "A disgusting thing is what she's doing. Don't you know better than to do that in public? And why are you even doing that if you're only a kid?" My friend has an attitude sometimes, so I try to jump in before she starts to throw things. It's not illegal, and Mrs. L, the owner of this store, is fine with it. She has a sticker on the door. Mrs. L being the little old Asian lady by the counter who was just oogling the baby a second ago. She smiles at us and continues to write some stuff down. The mother wasn't happy about this and continues with her BS. "I'm sorry, but I'm just not okay with a baby breastfeeding another baby. Can you please just stop?" she says in frustration. Mrs. L finally cuts in, and in her broken English she says, "Nursing baby is a beautiful thing. You have problem, you leave." She then taps the order on the window that leads to the kitchen and apologizes to my friend for the woman's nasty behavior. She then looks at the boy who is still next to me and says jokingly, "Your mother, she dummy, right?" This makes the boy laugh and the mother just grumble in her seat, trying to stay as far from us as she could. When my friend finished and we grabbed our food, Mrs. L threw in an extra order of egg rolls since they were my friend's favorite. Everything was fine until Monday came and I saw the boy again. He pulls me off to the side and tells me that his mom said she doesn't like me or my friend. I just ask him if he still likes me, and he says yes. Yay! What boggles my mind about this is what's the alternative? I mean, is she supposed to just not feed her baby? Like just let the baby starve to death? What's the solution here? Our next Reddit post is from ashilivia. "I stayed in Girl Scouts through my senior year of high school because it meant that I got to go on a trip to Switzerland. My troop of me and 2 other girls planned this from age 14 and I saved up over $4,000. Because we were going to be 18 on the trip, we discussed getting a drink at some point while in Europe. The leader, the mom of one of the girls, basically said that we'd have to keep it private because it's technically against Girl Scout rules. Not a huge issue, as she was already willing to bend rules restricting us from using Airbnb and whatnot. We'd never been a formal troop, and the leader and co-leader had made jokes about passionately hugging and videos about passionately hugging numerous times in meetings. We definitely weren't a picture-perfect little troop in that sense. The trip was approaching and the topic of drinking came up at a meeting. The mom of the other girl was coming on the trip too and acting as co-leader, so I was the only one there without a parent. I'm gonna call them Entitled Leader and Entitled Mom. For context, I am mentally ill but stable on medications. The Entitled Leader says, "I haven't really decided about the drinking thing yet." Ah, that's all good. But you shouldn't be drinking on your meds anyway. Oh, I've talked to my psychiatrist about it and he says it's okay. The other entitled mother says, "No, at my old job, I was practically the mom of kids on Prozac, and I know for a fact that people on it can't touch alcohol." She worked as a dispatcher. She answered the phones. Well, I talked to my doctor and did research online, and moderate drinking is considered fine as long as you know your limits. Have you been drinking? At home with my mother, yeah, it's legal. At this point, the conversation devolved into them yelling at me until I was in near tears. When my dad arrived to pick me up, I left as quickly as possible. I broke down in the car telling him what had happened. The next day, Entitled Leader called my dad and said I want to go to Europe just to drink and that it's unsafe. My dad told her she misunderstood. The next meeting, the first thing I did was try to clear up misconceptions. I want to make it clear that I don't want to go to Europe just to drink. I want to go for the experiences and art and monuments. The reason I was upset last time was because I felt that my doctor's reputability was being questioned and it made me uncomfortable. Okay, thanks for clearing that up. But no doctor in his right mind would tell a minor to drink on drugs. Okay, I'm just gonna shut this down because you're being defiant. You need to obey us because we're in charge here. Got it? I was pretty shocked because I was being super respectful. Like, I was quoting what my therapist suggested I say to be firm but respectful and explanatory. I was caught off guard and started tearing up a bit, but I used some DBT coping mechanisms and got through it. When my dad came to pick me up, they brought him in and said that we were going to have a meeting with some Girl Scout officials regarding my medications and the drinking thing. They said some misrepresenting things about me that my dad wasn't happy about, but he maintained composure and we planned the meeting. A couple weeks later, 6 days before we were supposed to fly to Switzerland, the meeting happened. It became clear very quickly that they had lied to us about the premise of the meeting. They intended to remove me from the trip and leave me financially responsible for the loss because I broke Girl Scout rules by mentioning having alcohol. They had met with the officials before this and pitched me as extremely mentally unstable, rebellious, and incapable of dealing with the slightest bit of stress. They also claimed that I was bipolar and schizophrenic, which I'm not. It's also worth noting that I got signed off by 2 doctors and a psychotherapist as stable and fully fit to travel. This backfired because when this meeting happened, I was more composed and respectful than either Entitled Leader or Entitled Mother. They went off on me for stating how I felt in situations. They got irritated at my mom for saying I was a great student, to explain responsibility and handling stress. And when I mentioned my actual diagnoses, they said that there's no way they would put up with that. Basically, me and my family played an Uno reverse card on them because they made themselves look terrible. When it became clear that the officials were hearing me and seeing my side, the leaders said that they flat out refused to take me and that there was nothing that could convince them otherwise. That meeting ended with no resolution and the intent of having a phone call the next day. After that meeting, it was pretty clear to the officials that this was discrimination based on a documented disability. So they called my parents and told them that I should be allowed to the trip. They said they were impressed with me and that they'd tell the leaders that they legally have to take me. They did that, but Entitled Leader and Entitled Mother flat out refused. I wasn't surprised if I'm honest. The Girl Scouts required that they make it right though. I was going to meet my grandma at the end of the Girl Scout trip so I could visit relatives, so I needed a new plane ticket. Entitled Leader and Entitled Mother ended up agreeing to pay for my new plane ticket and forfeit troop funding for a large portion of the trip. Since it was so last minute and there was a cancellation fee for my existing ticket, it cost about an extra $2,500. They ended up paying up. So I guess karma kinda got them. It was pretty devastating, but I still had a great time in Europe in the end. The reason it was so shocking is because I usually get along with people super well despite my mental illness, so it was weird to be hated so much, lol. Anyway, don't discriminate against people for their mental illnesses, and thanks for reading. That was r/Entitled Parents, and this is r/Puppy Bloopers. We've been waiting a while too, and are also hungry. Dog, why do you have to wait till the end of the sentence? Dog, what do you want from me, huh? What do you want? What do you want? You want to play? I can't play. Whoa! Dog, come on, man. Leave me alone. I gotta work, dude. I gotta work.